But all right, great. I guess we're approaching that point to kind of wrap the show up, I guess, and talk about our final piece here, or our what is our final topic? We call it top of the week, whatever. We have like
Yeah.
a bunch of names for this. We Ad and I wanted to do something interesting and have a topic about movies, because I don't think, I mean, we've had film centric topics before, but something that's like really 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 rooted in films. And so I suggested, and we both agreed to do kind of like a look at some of the most unique stories behind films that have been delayed. I believe the term is development hell. That's when people refer to movies that the idea to make the movie started at one point, and it took a really long time to make that movie, and then when you see the movie that they did release, for better or for worse, it very vaguely resembles what the original plan for the movie was. And yeah, there's a couple of examples here that I wanted to bring up. I'll start with one that's kind of like a little bit. Well, this one's a very infamous one, and I'll be very light with it because I know we've talked about this before. But Superman Lives is a perfect example of development hell movies. To give you guys an idea, they made Superman 4, right, with Christopher Reeve, and Superman 4 was supposed to... That was a very low-budgeted movie that looked fucking terrible, and I remember Christopher Reeve was super upset about, like, how the movie was shot. He says, when we did the... Like, he gave an example. He says, when we made the first Superman, like, if Superman had to give a speech, I was in front of a podium, and there was a group of extras of at least 200 people, and I would speak to them, and I felt like I was giving a speech. He says in part 4, it was like 20 people, and I was standing on a fucking, like, soapbox, and then they would just film it in certain ways that made it look like it was more people. And he said it was terrible, like, the way they handled everything. So, naturally, they started working on Superman 5. What would be the 5th Superman movie? And, as the story goes, Christopher Reeve didn't come back, so they said, all right, well, fuck Superman 5, we're not going to do that. But Superman 5 involved the death of Superman, and they started really liking the idea. So then that's where Superman Lives comes into play. And then, as everyone remembers, Superman Lives, I've talked about it before, that documentary, excellent documentary, The Death of Superman Lives. That movie, you guys need to check that out, because that is the epitome of the topic we're talking about today, development hell. But that movie didn't even get made, and they spent so much freaking money on it. I think they spent $200 million on that movie, and it didn't even get made. Or something like that. It was an insanely high amount of money. And, what ended up coming out? Superman Returns. That has nothing to do with Superman dying, and fucking Superman throws a rock in space. That's the finale. So, that's, like, kind of like the most notorious example. What was it called? Adnan and I, this is kind of like one of the reasons we did this. Star Wars Episode 8 got delayed recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like with the industry, though, with the state that it's in now, you can't really fling money because of how big budgets are. Because Star Wars 8 will have as big budget, if not bigger, than what Episode 7 had.
Right.
And when the demand is so high in revenue return and kind of like a date secured and locked in, because obviously when you pick a date, you want it ideally central to the point where no one's going to compete with you, really. And you can come out first out the blocks as a distributor and say, I've got this date. Mm-hmm. No one's really going to plan it around there. But then when you have to delay it, it kind of like pulls back the film, the interest dwindles. Because once marketing is into play, you really are on a tightrope of saying we need to delay this, because then it's just like, shit. Because I think, for an example, I think Uncharted 4's like that, because I've seen a lot of adverts for it. Mm-hmm. And like kind of the build up, and then Sony had to pull the plug on like a big marketing thing that it would have. Because you can see there was like points where they had like a real big marketing thing ready. Obviously, it still does, but they had so many like big ideas for it. Then they have to pull the plug because they were pulling back the date. Yeah, it's that really unoriginal comment where it's like the quality of the stuff, the quality of the product will be improved. Yada yada yada. We've heard it a million times, and yes, that does happen. But at the end of the day, deadlines are set for a reason, and when they're not met, it can be almost catastrophic in different ways. And I think like with movies as well, an example, like you can't really make a £200 million movie, pull the plug and then be like, we need to kindle like losses and make this movie again and add the budget on because it's never going to make it. But a video game, because of its long-term cycle, like Final Fantasy 15, could recoup a little bit of its budget
Yeah.
or make a reasonable kind of thing. It wouldn't be completely detrimental to the company because it can kind of like return to a blank slate and almost maybe get more of an interest from it.
Right.
From the audience, kind of like, a flat surface, just build on that, think it through a bit more effectively. But it's a weird one with movies, though. I mean, like with Star Wars, Superman Lives, the kind of examples of what they are, you'd be very careful about when delays come in, what they actually mean, because they can just literally, like, it's like, for example, if you had a Super Bowl advert and then you delay the film, and it's just like, right, we just paid millions of pounds for like 20 seconds of clip, and you've just delayed a movie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, dude, you bring excellent, points. I mean, like, delaying could be a good thing in disguise, right? Because it could lead to like I mentioned before, like the project in question could end up being nothing like what you originally set out to do, but it could end up being something better. Case in point, Batman Begins. I mean, dude, look at the last movie that came out, Batman and Robin. Look at Batman Begins. What a fucking change 8 years can make, right? Like, you have chill to, like, dun 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 dun. It's a tank, dun dun. Driving through Gotham and shit. Like, that movie is fucking great, and it's such a big dramatic shift. And it's because eventually Warner Brothers like, fuck it, let's reboot the franchise, and it was a thing that paid off. And it's the same thing. We'll see how Uncharted pays off, because that was another thing, right? They started off with Amy Hennig, and then like she got let go, and even what's his name, the voice actor of Nathan Drake, he was saying, Nolan North, he was like, yeah, we filmed like her story,
a ton of it, yeah,
and then they scrapped it again, like starting from scratch, big delay. You're putting a lot of money and investment into this project, and you're probably going over budget, but maybe the end result is going to be way better than chill, like the chill equivalent of Uncharted. So
it is a big gamble, just kind of thinking about it. It's like when Bungie replaced Peter Dinklage with Nolan North's voice for Destiny, for Ghost, and the amount of money they must have ploughed into that, and kind of the idea that obviously they didn't delay it, but the kind of like the eradication they want to do of Dinklage's image on that game because you don't want him to kind of be associated with it. Kind of says a lot, but obviously with a film like what's more interesting for me though is like when I watch old school documentaries like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Saw, Scream, and kind of like the restraints these I talk about the gaming too much, these film directors had in like meeting deadlines and stuff like that, and like what they had to do, and like the kind of like the little things they had to do to kind of change. I think like Wes Craven talks about how they had to like bring down the rating for Scream because they need to like get the they need to get the classification not as high as it was, so they had to remove like little things, like kind of like tweak little things. But it does have problems. But I think at the end of the day as well, in the production set, like you might just kind of have that epiphany where it's like, oh shit, we forgot to do something like this, or we've thought of a better idea and something on top of this, and maybe it just does need to be delayed because we can change it. It's like what you said with 7. They probably have looked at a lot of the criticism because they want to make Star Wars into what it is now, like a franchise, an anthology, like whatever, blah blah blah. Whatever you want to keep saying it is, and then just it's going to take a lot into that.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, dude, I think eventually, like, you have to have, like, a strong, what's it called, like, stomach when it comes to entering any project. And, case in point, some things, like, end up, like you said, like, going good or whatever. Actually, dude, speaking of, by the way, I know this is kind of, like, off topic, but I saw this, and I think this is really interesting. And we were talking about video games, but have you seen the trailer for Warcraft, the movie?
Yes.
And how it's scheduled to come out this year? Well, I don't know if you know this, that's another movie that got delayed a crap ton of times. It was, dude, it was first announced in 2006.
I feel like that movie can get away with it, though. Because it has a core fan base. Like that is not a film that's going to pander to the generic Call of Duty player who plays FIFA and like is out with his girlfriend Friday night. Like, let's go watch the Warcraft movie over the Hateful Eight. It is going to be that has got an established audience for it.
Yeah,
I think that's where sometimes where within reason you can get away with stuff like that. But then with like what kind of sorry, getting even deep in this and going back to the game industry, what I find funny is that when Sony did that survey, or Dog did it, and they found out like was it 50% of people on PS4 haven't played Uncharted yet?
Yeah, which surprised the fuck out of me that it
And
was
then
like such a large percentage.
when you take that kind of like weight and then put it next to the fact they've been delaying it, it's very interesting though because obviously they will generate huge sales, but then at the
Yeah.
same time they have this massive fan base that doesn't get the game. But at the same time, the Nathan Drake collection was planted specifically in that Christmas window
Yeah.
to sell and upsell and upsell. So it has its pros and cons. I think with film delays, though, I do really kind of like look more analytically at why a film's been delayed. Normally they are vague because obviously if you give a bit too much away, then like, people will
Dude.
kind of like.
Oh, sorry, Adnan. Oh my god, dude. I have to tell you this film delay story. Ooh, it's a good one, dude. And for the audience as well.
It's
Dude.
a scream, baby.
It's a Squid, baby. I'll be right back. No, dude, it's bad. Okay. Are you familiar with a movie called Food Fight?
Vaguely.
Okay. Let me explain. So, Food Fight was a movie that it had a fairly big budget. And basically the movie was pitched like this. It's Toy Story in a food supermarket. And at nighttime, no, seriously, and at nighttime when the lights go off, the like the mascots, like like the Lucky Charms guy and the fucking the whale on those like fish things, like the Twinkie, the kid, the fucking Twinkie, person from the Twinkies or whatever. All those people like actually come to life and live in a town, kind of like Wreck-It Ralph almost. How like the video games all come together and they live in a town. All right, dude. So this movie had big stars, man. This was, to give an idea, they started producing this movie. The concept for the movie was created in 1999, okay? And what happened was they got, like, really big stars in early 2003, I think. Or, like, yeah, in early 2003, they started creating the movie. And they got big actors, man, at the time. Like, remember, this is 2003. They got Charlie Sheen. They got Wayne Brady. They got Hilary Duff, who was doing fucking what was that show she did on Disney? Lizzie McGuire. You know what I mean? They got Christopher Lloyd. Martyr. They got fucking Christopher Lloyd in the dude. And they got like a lot of SNL people. They got Eva Longoria. Dude, seriously, if you look at the cast, you're like, my god, they got all these actors. This is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
The movie ended up not. It was originally. They got all the celebrity voice actors. They got product tie-ins, so they got like food supermarket. Like they got like the Cheeto guy to come on the fucking movie. They got like product placement in the movie because what a movie to do it, right? And what ended up happening was the movie was scheduled to come out 2005, right? The fucking this is the rumor, okay? This is where rumors kick in, but the rumor is that the movie. Like all the assets, all the animation, all the CG, because it was a CGI film, all the CGI animation that they had created were stolen from the fucking movie studio. And the movie got delayed and ended up not coming out until 2013.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is a movie that began in 1999. And what happened was they were insured by an insurance company to be able to like, finish the movie, but they didn't get they didn't get a lot of money back, man. And so the movie had to be made as inexpensively and as quickly as possible. And if you see the movie, dude, it is one of the worst looking movies ever made in the existence of cinema. It is so bad looking, dude. Like seriously, just Google Food Fight one day, look at footage, and you'll be like, man, those poor fuckers. Like to begin a project in 1999. To have your shits, to have all these celebrity people, all these endorsements. Like, Mr. Clean is in that movie, dude. Like, they got Mr. Clean from the bald guy who fucking cleans shit to be in it. All that was just fucking taken from them, man. Like, in a heartbeat. I mean, that is a story of how a delay can ruin your fucking movie. To come out, dude, 1999, it's released in 2012. That's over 10 years, and no one gives a shit about that movie. And needless to say, I think it had a $45 million budget. It made $73,000. Okay? $73,000. That movie bombed like you could ever imagine. And Jock Brown is in this movie, mind you. He's like, "Oh, you gotta get the food." Ah. But yeah, dude. So that's an example. I definitely want to share the story on the show because that I learned about that not too long ago. Food fight, and it just fucking big
Good story.
dump. Yeah.
Really strange. Yeah.
Oh, dude, fucking terrible. Um, but yeah, dude, delays are one of those things. The Star Wars thing is not going to be a food fight thing. I don't think Disney's going to allow that to happen. It's been delayed like half a year, so it's going to come out May 2017, just in time for the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. That would have been so great. How great would that have been, right? You're going back and you're watching, old 1970s movie, and then you go and you see Episode 8, and it would have been cool, right? But no, it's now coming out in December. That's because, shit, Force Awakens made, how much has it made now? Almost $2 billion at this point, and that came out in December. So Disney probably thinks, oh, we're fine. We can do that. Like, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So yeah, delay. I actually find delays in movies to be super interesting. There's also other stories too, dude, that I didn't get into. There was this one story with Planet of the Apes that the Tim Burton movie that came out like in 2001. At one point, that movie was gonna have I'm not making this up, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the main role, and there's a scene where he teaches the apes how to play baseball. Just imagine how amazing that would be.
Ugh.
You have to hit the ball. Hey, you monkey, you got to hit it. Like, I'm an ape, sir. And you don't like the apes would talk better than he does. But like delays, I find when movies get delayed, obviously it hurts, especially when it's something you're looking forward to. But I find them fascinating too, because you see the history of these long, long, long delayed projects, like follow-ups and stuff, and you see like all the things that happen in between them. It's fascinating. It's something that I do in my spare time. Sometimes I try to look up information on like, what they almost made this Batman movie instead, like stuff like that. Cause it's interesting to see like what would have been. And you kind of theorize, did they dodge the bullet with that one? Or did they make, in the case of Batman Begins where they made the good call and they made like a stronger franchise. And even in video games, the same thing. I mean, look at Duke Nukem Forever. We don't even need to talk about that. It's self-explanatory. It's insanely ridiculous. Or Half-Life 3, like I don't even think that game is being made. So Last Guardian, that's another example. All these are games that who knows how it's gonna turn out when it comes out. I mean, I have hopes for Last Guardian. I think that game looks really cool, but who knows? Maybe it's gonna suck complete ass. It's gonna be like a terrible game, and we're gonna be like, God, we've been waiting since 2007 for
Yeah,
this.
that game's never gonna live. No, that game's never gonna live up to the hype.
Yeah,
Never ever.
so, but again, to kind of end on a positive note, the Phantom Pain, that game got delayed and a couple of times. It's an excellent game. Phantom Pain's a great game.
Phantom Pain's something else.
Yeah, it's fucking that was a phenomenal game Kojima made, and so I think I'll put it this way: I'd rather something get delayed than canceled, like Silent Hills. That still stings because that's straight up canceled, man. Like that's not like, oh, we have to wait next year or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we could. This is literally a topic that we can go on forever. But if you guys are interested, I highly recommend you look up like films that the terminology is development hell when it's like a delayed film that took a very long time to do. And there's also a book that's called, oh my God, what was it called? I think it's called The Greatest Films Never Made. And it's a great book that I recommend you guys read. Where they taught. That's where I learned about the Schwarzenegger Planet of the Apes thing. And it's a book that kind of talks about stuff like that. Hey, you got to hit the ball with the bat, hey, sir, please, like things like that. I would love to see that. But anyway, I'll cut myself off because I'm definitely doing too much here. But all right, well, I guess that's it for this week's episode, guys. Don't forget to follow the Gamer Headline Show on Twitter at TGH Show, and be sure to like our official Facebook page, The Gamer Headline Show, for up-to-date episodes from Gamer Headlines' official podcast. Additionally, The Gamer Headline Show can be found on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, right here as always at GamerHeadlines.com. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week with another thrilling, exciting episode worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi Order. Sorry, that was my Count Dooku. Stupid but fun. Anyway, guys, take care. Thanks for watching or
See you
listening.
later, guys.